Hey guys, my name's Justin and welcome to Healthboro, where we care about the design behind designer luxury. And if you do too, make sure to subscribe. It just keeps getting worse every time. So for today's video, I thought I would bring back the Don't Be Basic video. I already did this once and I'll link it up in the corner, but basically the whole idea is I will take a bag that's either super popular right now or kind of a classic, or I don't know, you're just seeing it in places and it's from like a bigger brand, and I will be suggesting a bag that's very similar. Maybe there's a bit of a twist on it or more of an exaggeration, and maybe it'll work for you. But that's kind of the idea. So the first bag I wanted to talk about is the Alexander McQueen Curve. So it is a bucket bag that, of course, it has a strap, but then there's these two little, like, I don't think they're straps, but like two little bands that goes around in like a diagonal and makes this kind of crisscross pattern. I do think it's cute. It's not the most popular, but it's definitely out there, and I have actually seen some people wearing it in real life. But then the bag I wanted to talk about is from The Row, and this one's called the Mini Leo bag. It is a bucket bag similar to that, but there's something to it that feels, I don't know. The McQueen bag, there's a certain edge to it, and it has this look of structure, and there's a lot of like diagonal lines, this kind of like geometry that makes it feel, let's go with serious. Meanwhile, like the Leo bag, there are two, not ribbons, but like there's two like things that you can like either apply and just like wrap it around, or you can tie a knot with it. There's something a little bit more soft about it. There's some femininity when it comes to the material as well. It has this kind of like, you know, if you've seen a pair of Timbos, you know what nubuck is. It's this like softish looking kind of leather versus the McQueen, which is very hard. I don't know, there's something about like carrying a bucket bag. I feel like most bucket bags are very structured because they need to be, because that's the shape of it. It's a bucket bag. But then the Mini Leo from The Row, I just love that it has this kind of like softness, and it's a little charming in that way, that it's kind of maybe like a little messy or something like that. There's something that about the Mini Leo bag that like I don't find often in bucket bags, so for me that's what makes this one, I don't know, cute. So this next bag I want to talk about is, it's actually still decently new, but I just know that like it's already like popping off in certain places. People are already like talking about it, how much they love it. But it is the Brick Cassette from Bottega Veneta. So it's basically like a shoulder bag, but then it has that intreccio leather weaving technique where it's like makes kind of like a chessboard out of like the woven leather. Like, of course, it's an iconic technique of the house, but I mean, we've seen it a lot on the Patty Cassette, on the Arco totes, on this, on that, like the pouches, whatever, like it's everywhere, which that doesn't mean that it's not good, and I definitely still am considering a bag from there if like the stars don't align on some other things. But so that you're not basic, what I wanted to talk about is a bag from Issey Miyake. So Issey Miyake is a Japanese designer. He just passed very recently. I mean, I'm not gonna go into the history there, but he's very well known for his treatment of like texture and like the technical aspect of materials and how he manipulates them and makes them so much more interesting than I think you could have ever imagined. So the bag that I want to talk about from him is the Ivy bag. So basically the concept of the Ivy bag, it's another shoulder bag. It still plays with the technique of leather weaving, which is kind of like, okay, so, but the way that this bag does it, I think is a bit more interesting. So the concept of it is, if you have like one strap of leather and you wrap it around itself, and then you create like a vessel out of it, and then you have that continue, and then that becomes a strap. I think that's kind of the most interesting part about it for me. Also, like the form of this is more interesting. Like it's this kind of like ovoid, eggy type shaped bag, which of course like maybe isn't like the most efficient when it comes to like packing your bag, but like to me, A, I love eggs, so that's already like 1 point there. But B, the fact that it is like this one strap creating this organic shape. I don't think it's actually like one strap, but that's kind of like the illusion that it's meant to give. Like it's like you just wrapped it around itself and then tied it up and around, and then having an adjustable strap that's basically the same thickness as the detail that's happening all around your bag. I think that's really interesting, and I would say like a lot of the times if your details are all the same shape, whatever object it is kind of like falls flat. But for me, it actually, this is what makes it interesting, because then you get a little bit of negative space in between where like these like awkward wide straps are like wrapped around. You get like different like shading and shadow and different shapes created from that negative space. So I don't know, it's just me. I like it. Hopefully you like it too. Let's move on. So the next bag I wanted to talk about is the Gucci Bamboo 1947. It's basically a little like round flat bag where it has a bamboo turn lock on the front and then a bamboo handle. So the bag that I wanted to talk about to compare to that is from Jil Sander, and it's called the Goji Bamboo Mini. So what you get from like the, okay, so what you get from the Gucci Bamboo bag, oh my god. So I'm just gonna call it the Bamboo. Wait, the other one's called Bamboo. I don't know, the Gucci versus Jil Sander. There we go, okay. So what you get from the Gucci Bamboo bag is this kind of effeminate shape where it's very soft. It's not padded, but it looks like it is in the way that it's constructed. How it has like the central pocket and then it has like these two other lips. When it sits, it just has this kind of like slight puff, like slight roundness that I think is quite beautiful. And of course there's the whole history of like Gucci using bamboo during material scarcity times, blah blah blah, etc. One of the things that is missing from me is that this bag has a lot of structure, but then it has this kind of like look of softness. And I think one thing that could be interesting is that if you look at the Goji Bamboo, this has more of almost like a doctor's bag look. It even has like a kiss lock closure at the top, but then the shape is very like elongated and it has this like very like harsh lines on the top and the bottom, and then it still is rounded on the side. So you still get a bit of softness in a different way, but then there's almost like a more like masculine energy to it from like the way that the geometry is like set so firmly. Not saying that masculine versus feminine means anything, but this is just like, you know, the way that people talk about shapes. Oh my god, don't cancel me. Also, I said doctor when I was talking about masculine. Oh my god. Of course, you get this bamboo handle that's rounded, and then you still get a structured bag, but then there's a little bit more harshness and a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit more cold, and I find that kind of interesting. Because already the bamboo handle adds a bit of warmth because it is a very like visible natural material. Having the contrast of the harshness of the structure, I think, is a nice kind of like counterpoint to the hardware versus the software, the leather. Okay, next bag I wanted to talk about is from Margiela. So this is the 5AC Mini Almond. I don't know what that part means, but I know the 5AC shape is this kind of like satchel that has this like, it's almost like a rounded trapezoid, and then it has like an inner lining that can pop out and like expand out of the bag, so then you get this kind of like bag in a bag look. What I get from this is that you get kind of like the duality of like professional and very like put together, and then when you pull the lining out, it's almost like, well, it kind of like prolapse, but then it's also like seeing the inner workings, that whole idea of like reconstructed, deconstructed, very like Margiela-y kind of detail. But then the bag I wanted to talk about is from, actually it's from Marc Jacobs. So this one's called the Duet. It still gives that like bag in a bag look, because it is quite literally, I think more literally than the Margiela bag. It is a bag in a bag. It's two different pieces. There's a leather bag on the outside that has a very similar kind of satchel look, but then with it comes like a little like, I guess you could call it like a small tote bag made out of like a printed canvas, and you like stick it in there and it like pops out. And then there's a chain handle that attaches to that you can like let it flop out. So you get this kind of like layered look. It feels kind of reminiscent of some of the, actually it's very reminiscent of one of the bags that Marc Jacobs designed for Louis Vuitton. I don't remember the whole name of the bag, but basically it was one of like the early like Neo Alma concepts. What I actually really like about this bag is that you still get that strong contrast of like deconstruction, reconstruction, etc. But then the Marc Jacobs one, you get like very similar things from it, and then it's almost a little like kitschy with like the printed canvas bag with the chain. But the fact that you can actually like detach those bags from the Marc Jacobs one, so you get basically 2-for-1 bags. It doesn't look like a complete bag without them together, but I still love that you can actually take apart the bags and wear them separately. So you get this canvas, like printed canvas tote bag with a chain handle, and then you get this nice little like leather satchel. I think that's hilarious, and I think it's so, I don't know, I think it's so smart, and it makes a lot of sense for the whole like Y2K, like lots of detail, lots of embellishment, lots of like folds and straps and everything going around everywhere. I think it just makes a lot of sense. So that's definitely a really cute bag. I don't know why I'm looking over here like it, I mean, it is right here, right? So last bag, I know you guys are super psyched for this because we're almost done and you guys can stop listening to me. Okay, so the last bag I wanted to talk about is from Jacquemus. It is the Le Bambino Long. Is that the right name? That can't be the right name. Yep, that's right, which I'm pretty sure translates to like the long boy. I actually really like this bag. It's kind of like a rectangular flat bag, you know, it is what it is, but it has this almost like envelope quality to it where like the flap is very like geometric. One thing that I also noticed is like there's this trend of like east-west bags, which means like it's like wider than it is tall. But like there's this huge trend of like really awkwardly long east-west bags. And I feel like this is what it's kind of getting at. I mean, it's called the long, right? But then so what I wanted to bring to this conversation with you is a bag from Marni, and that's called the Relativity Large. I'm sorry, that's such a weird bag name. But if you wanted a really long bag, this is the bag for you, because this bag is long and that's it. I do actually really like it. The fun thing for me is that where we have the Jacquemus, it is kind of like a top handle, kind of like a shoulder baggy, kind of bleh, whatever it is. But it is a structured bag that has this kind of like length to it and a horizontal elongation. Very, when I say east-west, it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. When we were talking about this Marni Relativity bag, it looks like you could put a sub sandwich in it. Like, it is crazy. It is so wild how long it is. I mean, it really does have like a lot of similarities to the Le Bambino Long. It is a structured bag. It does have a little bit more curve, so you get a bit more of that like softness, a little bit of femininity from it. It doesn't have the same hardness as I think the Jacquemus has. And then one of the things I actually really like about this bag is like how long the handle is. I think if the handle were shorter, it would have been a little bit more silly, but then I do like that with the width of the handle following along the majority of the body of the bag, it does kind of like play to it, and it almost makes it seem like the bag is just like stretched out. It's like you put this bag into Photoshop and you're like, transform. 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 And you like just kept going until it was like, alright, I guess that works as a bag still. In a good way. So those are the bags that I wanted to talk about. You know, gotta end on the long one, right? Who doesn't love a good long one at the end of the day? Nope, that's tall one. Oops. That is all I have for you today. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like any of these bags? I don't know why I said it like that. Maybe these like less popular brands, they like find another way to either push it or find an, you know, they have to find a way to make it interesting so that it still is like a viable commercial product. So that's that. Let me know what you guys think. I love hearing from you guys. I don't know. I'm really on one today, so. If you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It lets me know that you like this kind of content and that you do care about the design behind designer luxury. Until next time.
I like eggs. I like eggs. I like eggs. I like eggs.